Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing, single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We're also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebar2go.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss what the bourbon industry may look like when the dust settles. My name is Justine Mays. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Darren McRoy, Matt Modica, and Goeken.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
So we are going to be talking today about the bourbon industry, what's going to happen as the dust settles, as we get past the tumultuous times of today. We are hearing, about, people getting laid off and distilleries closing and stuff like that. At some point, we're going to get past all that. And what do we think the distillery industry will look like? What's American whiskey going to look like after we get through this? We're going to talk about that after the break. For right now, Matt said there's something he wanted to talk about. What is that, sir?
Yeah. So there's, I think you all know by now I'm a Disney fan, and we're kind of Disney freaks in the house here.
Sure.
Snow White. So live action Snow White just came out not too long ago.
Okay.
And basically has not done well, right?
No.
Based on everything I've read,
Sure.
and seen, and that kind of thing. And so there's actually a fan theory that's out there that says Snow White had a child.
Okay.
And that child was Lord Farquaad from Shrek.
Okay. Sure.
And that he evidently
Makes
had
sense.
this child with one of the 7 dwarves.
Okay.
So the question is kind of 2 questions. One, what dwarf do you think she had the child with? 1. And then 2, what are some dwarf names that you think Disney threw into the trash can because they just weren't good enough, or they were
Okay.
I heard one for sure. There was going to be one named Dick Gazinia. They canceled that right away. Walt himself said we can't have a Dick Gazinia in that, so he was against it. So, that would have been a good dwarf though, Dick Gazinia.
So Snow White.
Clearly, she was with Doc. He's authoritative. He's a take charge type of guy. I think she would have been swept off her feet with Doc. He would have been good.
I can't even remember all of the names of the dwarves.
Oh, you got Dopey, Sleepy,
Bashful,
yeah.
Grumpy.
Grumpy, yeah, Grumpy.
Yeah. So,
Farquaad could be Dumpy, Grumpy, or Dopey. Dumpy.
I was gonna go with Grumpy.
Grumpy.
Yeah.
He's kind of.
How the hell's Grumpy getting laid?
But Lord Farquaad is kind of a dick.
yeah.
So
Okay.
I
See,
feel like
The
Grumpy.
Dicky.
I think it's happy. I'm going to the complete opposite.
Well, he's always in a good mood.
Yeah, he's always in a good mood, but nothing like Lord Farquaad. And he hates his father. When you really read into the backstory, Lord Farquaad can't stand his father. He respects his mother a little bit, but not as much as he probably should. But he is the complete opposite of his father, and he
hates
not
his father.
be a
Huh?
good person.
Okay. Well, Darren's done a little research here, so
Yeah. I've been reading the theories too.
okay.
You just have to read.
Got to dig deep on this one, folks.
And where are you getting Lord Farquaad backstory?
Dickisinya.com has it.
Also, Shrek's not a Disney thing. So
It's crossover. It's crossing streams, right? So.
yeah.
Don't cross the streams.
So, not to answer the other question, because there's obviously many emotions that they could lust and horny and all. Those are the two that I had.
Lust and horny
would not be good dwarf
Sleazy.
names.
Sleazy.
Easy is probably not a good dwarf name, but I don't know why they thought it was important to make Snow White. This was a beef of mine when I heard about it because it wasn't that good of a movie anyway. Like, does anyone say Snow White is their favorite Disney movie ever? Anyone right here, right now?
Well, I mean, you're talking about getting his start. So first of all, it was free. He didn't have to pay any rights to get it. It was in public domain. So that's helpful when you're starting a company. Again, we think of Disney today, all the money in the world, really. But again, you're talking about a guy getting things going, and it's a story that's known, but had never been brought to the screen like that. Mm. So, it's something that people were somewhat comfortable with, but hadn't seen it that way. I think it's hard to question the sales acumen, the business acumen of Walt Disney. I mean, that guy knew what the fuck he was doing.
The modern adaptation.
Oh, yeah, fuck that.
One.
They don't need that at all.
Yeah. There's so many other Disney movies that could have been better.
I don't know why they feel like they need to keep making... Yeah.
They just keep ruining good things.
Right. Yeah. They ruined it. They ruined it.
I am Lion King's number one fan. I have
to say that this morning I actually watched Snow White and the Huntsman. And that movie was
That's a porn movie. That's a porno.
It is not.
Yes, Kathy Cool was telling me about that. Our in-house expert on the porn industry was saying
that's not Huntsman, Steve.
Snow White and the Plum.
I just can't
Snow
believe
White and Mike
all
Huntsman.
of us, all the degenerates that hang out with us, Kathy Cool is the number one into porn. It just shocks me. And unabashed.
Or at least the number one that talks about it.
She'll tell you about it. She has no qualms about it. It's just, I like it. What are we going to do? Okay.
The Snow White story, though, is not that uncommon for movie. It's kind of like a generic story.
Sure.
I think
it has a beginning, middle, and end. Good job.
No, it's like somebody's rescuing a woman. I mean, it's a girlfriend, wife. So
you're saying it's
wife
Hallmark
of,
Channel.
wife of
like where all the Hallmark movies are
my
different.
buddy.
They're all the same. No.
So
it could be a live action movie.
Let's get it beaten, raped, murdered, whatever. Snow White belongs on Lifetime, not Hallmark.
Okay.
Isn't Lifetime now Freeform, or is that something else?
I think that's something else.
It's one of the movie channels had to change their names to Freeform, and it's the stupidest thing ever. It's not like
I think that was the Oxygen channel.
No?
I thought Oxygen was Oprah's.
But there's a lawsuit that you literally get no oxygen from there. So they were like, either you're going to start providing people with some oxygen, or
false advertising.
Yeah. I have no idea. This is news to me. So
I'm going to look it up. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, didn't they change
it might
the
be
name
ABC Family. Might have been what it was.
Oh,
somewhere that
or Oxygen. Either one. They're the same thing.
Yeah, it was ABC Family and they changed it when I was 15. I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. I was so pissed.
Oh,
for a long.
We heard about that in Oakville. There's this Crestwood kid that really is pissed about this.
No one else cares.
I remember hearing about it
for some reason.
Yeah, it was picked up in the Oakville Call. They had a story about that. Yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it.
My theory is it's dopey. I think Snow White took advantage of it.
You think it's dopey?
Dopey.
That's the only thing I got, though.
Okay. Interesting. Dopey.
Can I say one more thing before we end this small talk?
Sure.
No.
Shrek is the best animated movie of all times, no matter your age. Because there's some that are really good when you're young. Like Lion King's always going to be one of my favorites. Tarzan is up there, and Finding Nemo. They're fantastic, and Toy Story.
Right.
But when you watch Shrek as an adult,
it's hilarious.
It is just as funny. as it was when you were a kid, and not for the same reasons at all.
Unfortunately, some of us had to watch it as an adult only. So yeah.
Yeah,
I think that Toy Story and Shrek are up there with
Toy Story's
being an adult
good too.
and watching it.
I think the best of the Shrek though isn't the first one. While it's excellent, I think the one where Puss in Boots is in there. That's the pinnacle. That was really a great one. Yeah, very, very good.
And then they tried to make his own movie with him.
No, it's too much. It's too much. Yeah. All right. On that note,
main character.
it's exactly it's supporting, and you can't keep going back to the well. It's time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Goeken.
I have Buzzard's Roost, barrel strength straight bourbon whiskey. I'm holding it at the bottom of the bottle, not down low.
Right. You want to be up at your microphone, but you want to be low on the bottle.
Maybe this cork won't break.
Okay.
Yeah, and that didn't help either.
Nothing. But again, I don't know that any form could help that. That didn't sound like there's a lot of life in that cork. A lot of splash, though.
Yeah.
All right. You think those big hands would have held that down, but it looked like it was getting away from you. It was that bottle started shaking, and yeah. So, all right. Darren, you look ready to go. What do you got?
I got the Presidential Dram.
Oh,
I am also holding it at the bottom.
Okay.
But I don't have as big of hands as Jimmy Big Hands over there, so I got wet from that.
He got wet.
You got wet. Okay. All right. That's a personal problem. Hey now. I think that's what needs to be inserted in there. All right. That is our lead. It was not great because you talked over it, but it was better than Jimmy Big Hands. All right. Justine, what do you got?
I have MB Roland's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey finished in brandy barrels, and it's their ladies' night pick.
Okay.
All of the women at the distillery picked this.
Okay, that's fun. All right,
there we go.
That was solid. It's going to be tough to beat. You want to?
Where were you holding that?
At the top.
At the top.
Oh,
okay.
see,
she goes against the rules there.
That's right. Still wins.
I can't hold it at the bottom. I'm gonna.
You
drop
better
it
never find yourself in Warren County in a court of law after that slam. No.
He's gonna hold me in contempt.
In contempt, yeah. You held the bottle too high. All right, Matt, what do you got?
I've got a 291 Colorado whiskey. It's the Modica's pick. Imagine
Modica's. All right.
Coming in at 128.7 proof. That's a pretty big one, and Aspen stave finished.
Okay, solid, but not as good as Justine. So Justine got you there. I've got the Dark Hearts here. This is the Napa Cab finish. Our recent one. This is an 8-year-old bourbon. Let's see what we got here. First open here. So let's see what I can do with this thing. Well, that was good. It was nice. It was clean, but Justine had a bigger boom there. So Justine wins. So cheers to our friend Justine. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about when the dust settles. What do we think this industry will look like? We'll do that in just a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Speaking of executive bourbon steward certification, the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri has developed a unique partnership with the Stave and Thief Society to offer a preparatory class to assist you in getting your executive bourbon steward certification. This prep class costs only $25 and is available to take live or online via Zoom. Graduates of our class receive a coupon code good for 15% off your executive bourbon steward certification held in Louisville, Kentucky. This saves you almost $90. Additionally, you can collaborate with fellow attendees to split travel costs when you go to Louisville. If you're interested in signing up for the class, simply head over to abvbarrelshop.com and check out the classes and events page. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com. And now, back to the show.
This is Evan Eaters, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily. Cheers.
Welcome back. Today on the show, we are talking about what it looks like when the dust settles in the bourbon industry.
Yes, we are. So, anybody want to throw out any theories here? Again, it's all speculation. None of us really know. Even the experts don't know. We're not experts, so we can't be held accountable here that we would know anything. But we're going to take our best guesses here. What do you guys think?
What dust are we talking about?
You want me to hang up on Jim and we'll finish?
So Jim's muted for the rest of the show.
So the idea is, obviously there's turmoil going on now. You hear about people being laid off and stopping production at some distilleries. You also hear a big distillery like Garrard County closing after only a year. We're not talking about someone jumped into this thing and they're into this for $1 million that they put into this. This is a $230 million distillery that is in business for a year. That's a lot of money to put into something that fails. So there is some turmoil going on right now. What do we think that the industry is going to look like? Is there going to be consolidation? Or are we going to kind of be where we're at? Is everything going to go away? What is it all going to come back and everything's just going to be fine? What do we think is going to happen here?
So I think there's going to be a good amount of shrinkage happening. And I think we're going to be trimming the fat, for lack of a better term. It's going to be distilleries that maybe had just one niche and they never hit mainstream, and they're in those residential areas where there's a lot of tourism. They're like, hey, we're going to open up a distillery to feed tourism. I think some of those will still survive. I don't think we're going to get rid of all of them, but there's still some those are the first ones to go, I think. And then also, the other thing I was thinking about when I was reading these show notes earlier this week is that the contract world, like people starting new brands from just sourced whiskey, not wanting to distill anything themselves, is going to go basically dormant. I think the ones that we have, especially the ones that have made a name for themselves, are good to hang around. And I think it really comes down to how much the owner and the master distiller and everyone producing those whiskeys actually knows about the world of whiskey. If they can go to a market and sell whiskey and still have good success, I don't think they're in danger at all. I don't think we're losing.
Right. I don't think we're losing our friends here.
Yeah.
I think our friends, the people that we have on these shows that are in the ABV Barrel Shop, I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think the ones that got in for a cash grab that aren't really dedicated to the craft but are dedicated to the idea of making money are going to find it's hard to make some money in this business when you're not dedicated to the craft. So, yeah.
The NDPs that aren't really making anything, a big splash on anything or do anything spectacular.
Yeah,
I
don't know what to think about that. I'm not 100% for sure what to think about that yet, because you hear these things of something that cost $5,000 for a 4-year-old MGP or Bardstown Bourbon Company whiskey that cost $4,000 or $5,000 just 2 or 3 years ago is selling for $800 to $1,600. and even like 18, 16, 17-year-old whiskey and things like that, which used to be, $6, $7, $8,000 for the barrel, is now down to, $4,000. Maybe we see more of them coming up. Not necessarily ones that are putting in contracts, but are just plucking up what they can from the barrel brokers. There could be a whole wave of new ones too.
I think it's a whole capitalism thing, right? I mean, if you look at, not to get all economic on everybody, right? But it's the typical capitalism and macroeconomic kind of approach of supply and demand and price elasticity, right? And the fact that, yes, you're going to see some of these folks that don't have good business plans and they're not into it, and they haven't built a good product. They're going to start to fail, obviously, right? And I think you're going to see the folks that have scale, that have figured out how to do the production in a most efficient way and in a profitable way, they're going to continue to do well. And then you're going to see these craft distillers that make an incredible product, that have a very strong brand, that are very sought after and followed on, right? I think it's just, I think all of that comes, it just back to basic economics, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, right? And I think that's a lot of what I've observed, at least, looking at this whole industry of kind of how it's gone into ups and downs and kind of where it's at. I mean, everybody got into it and started building a lot of inventory and a lot of different opportunities and brands and different kinds of things. And now it's got to be rationalized a little bit. And the market's just going to do that, I think. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to be all boring.
We've seen a lot of these sourcing places that this idea of being the new MGP or the Kentucky MGP or whatever it is. There's been a lot of distilleries that have been startups that have done this, and now they've been in business 2 or 3 or 4 years. We're starting to get to the point where they've got some whiskey that we're going to start seeing on the market, but yet we continue to see, because of commitments, there's probably a half a dozen that haven't even come online yet that they have plans to be the next MGP of Kentucky or the American whiskey. I think that's a tough road right there. Again, I think because of the fact that we have this glut of whiskey now, and it's a commodity that's going lower in price, not higher in price. So the fact that they're going to have a hard time, I think that's going to be one of the areas I think there'll be some significant shakeout in those bigger guys. And there may be some consolidation and things like that, and we'll see what happens. Go ahead, Darren. I know you were getting ready to say something.
So what I was going to say is, unless they have some serious firepower in the bourbon industry behind them, like some big names that know what the hell they're doing, I would not be starting one of those new distilleries right now. There's a couple out there that are just now starting to lay down barrels that will be completely fine because of the names behind them.
Yeah.
But I also think the biggest losers when this dust settles is everyone... And this might just be a dream of mine, but everyone that started a celebrity brand, I don't think any of them are going to look back on their investment and think that was a good idea. Right. I think it is pretty serious for them. They're like, oh, this is going to be a quick way to make some cash. Bourbon's hot right now. I don't think it's going to work out well for them. And it's going to be a lesson learned to not get into something that you don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. It seems like a lot of the celebrity bourbons are the lower proof, so you're not after
the bourbon drinker,
the long-term bourbon drinker. You're trying to cash in on like your fan of the week, who's going to buy it because it's got your name attached to it.
Right.
And if you're not actively growing your fan base, you can't actively get new sales. You will hit your plateau, and there's nothing left to do with you.
Yeah. It is different than, for instance, say, you talk about some big wins out there, Aviation Gin and stuff like that. Yeah. These were designed to be just regular, while they are celebrity backed, a lot of these things that have sold out for hundreds of millions of dollars. At the same time, it wasn't just the celebrity, and it seems like in the whiskey world, it's all about the celebrity. So as the whiskey industry starts to slow down a little bit, and they weren't going after the best whiskey possible. We know this as we try through those. Again, lower proof, not the best whiskey. I think they will suffer as well, like Darren was saying. I I don't think it's going to be a good time to be a celebrity bourbon brand, unless you're somebody like the Brothers Bond, where they're into it. And those guys could ultimately win in the end. I think they're dedicated to the craft of bourbon. They might be fine, but they're the exception, not the rule. I think the rule is slap my name on some half-assed whiskey and let's sell it to our fans. That's really all you're going to get. There's not really
charge 3 times what it should be costing, right? Like,
there's not an exit strategy of, hey, this is going to be worth several $100 million. It's not really going to happen that way for them.
Are we also going to see some lowering of prices of some of the more traditional, sought-after, quote, higher-end products from distilleries?
I don't think so. I think what they're going to do to combat, I don't think they want to devalue what they've got. So what I think is going to happen, rather than make too much Blanton's, I think you'll see new Buffalo Trace products that sound very cool. Oh, here's the EH Pioneer Edition or whatever. Yeah. They're going to come up with different things that'll be like, oh, I got to get that.
There's probably going to be a whole new line.
Yeah, they're not going to dump it all into Blanton's or whatever it is. That's just an example, but I don't think they're going to devalue what they've got. The scarcity that you see now isn't going to change that much. It's going to change a little bit, but not like everybody's kind of like, oh, now we got all the whiskey we need. We're going to get everything that we want to buy. That's not going to happen. Yeah, they're not going to allow that.
People's behavior is going to change much as far as the people that are seeking and finding, right?
The secondary stuff,
right? They're not going to. I think that perspective is always going to be there, right? There's always going to be that personality of people.
Yeah. And, I think the coolest example of something like that's going to be good that comes out after this dust settles. Looking at the T2B website, I go through it every now and then. I also look at Cumming whiskey, but Old Granddad Bottle and Bond just got a label approved to be 7-year age stated on everything. That is just a win for everyone, and that is a consumer. It's probably not exactly what the distillery wants, but it's going to help us out. Like a bottle and bond that's probably going to be, even if the price goes up $20-$30, at 7 years old is fantastic.
Right. So do you think they're going to do that? Like we recently saw Wild Turkey 101 is coming out with an 8-year, but that's a different product. They'll still have unage stated Wild Turkey 101 that's going to be the $28 or whatever it is now. And then they're going to have the 8-year, which is going to be about $45. They're not doing that same thing with Old Granddad. It's Old Granddad Bottled is just...
I was just assuming from what I saw from the website. So you're right. It could be a different product.
It could be a different
still
product.
A win, though.
Yeah, it's still a win. That goes back to like what Goeken was saying. What are they going to do with all this? Well, they're going to come up with new products that are cool and that you're going to want to buy. I want to try the 7-year-old Old Granddad Bonded, by the way. That sounds good to me. I like Old Granddad anyway. And I'd be interested in tasting a 7-year-old.
Yeah, no, I'm like I don't hunt for bourbon anymore, but when that gets ready to go, I will be finding that one because I want to have it.
I can't imagine that being one that's tough to find. I mean, it's Old Granddad. It's part of that Old Granddad brand is it's accessible, and I would assume that's going to be out there. So, yeah. What do you think about all this, Justine?
I agree with everything that you said. That the one thing that came to mind is what Darren said about all of the celebrity brands. Like when all of this ends and the product that they didn't sell, like it's just going to be sitting on the shelves in the clearance section. Just
yep. Yeah, I think a lot of those that's their destiny. It's not, and it doesn't end with a big cash out where they get hundreds of $1 millions. I think it ends in the clearance bin. I mean, yeah. I'm getting out of this business, so I think that's unfortunate. If they thought they're going to get a bunch of money out of it, I just don't think it's there. I don't think the opportunities, especially because for this business, I feel like you got to know your stuff. You got to be into it. You can't just put your name on something. You got to understand the whiskey business a little bit. And,
it's not like vodka or tequila or like whatever else, canned cocktails or whatever that you want to make. Like, I just feel like it's definitely a more complex industry than the others.
For sure.
I feel like from what we've all said, I feel like as the consumer in my area of consumership, I don't feel like I'm losing.
Right.
When the dust settles, I don't think I'm losing out on anything.
If you're in it for the long haul, you're not going to lose. I mean, I think that you don't. I don't want anything bad to happen to the bourbon industry, so I have a hard time celebrating that. But I do think that there's going to be a lot of cool stuff headed our way as bourbon fans. I think we're going to be in an okay time to be, and that's why I don't think they're going to lose their current base. Again, they're not having the growth that they saw, the rapid growth, and again, they've kind of caught up in terms of whiskey, but and some of the calculations were done during COVID, and we know that during COVID people were buying crazy. They were at home, they didn't have anything to do. What do? They buy different whiskeys. Let's try some different things at the house, or we were doing a lot of online events, and you get to try new things, taste it, but then you're buying new things. Those times changed, and it kind of got back to just normal, where you go on, you shop for bourbon like you used to back before COVID, and it's along the growth is along the lines of the trajectory that was going on before COVID. It's not, so it's still going up. We saw that bourbon tourism was up in Kentucky, just an episode we did recently, and I think we're still at a time of growth. It's just not what we saw, the rapid growth for those rare couple of years. So things are going to be okay, folks. It's going to be.
I don't think it's the 80s again. I don't think or the 70s when they had to start putting stuff into canisters. We're not at that level at all.
We're not at that level at all. I think it's all good. And back to Jim's point, I think for us as bourbon fans, I think there's really good times ahead. I think we're going to get some cool stuff. Just like the example of the old granddad 7-year-old.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of cool stuff we're going to see moving forward. And I look forward to it. So very cool. On that note, we're going to wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Matt, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can reach me on LinkedIn and at my website, sabertoothcyber.com.
All right, Goeken.
I'm on the Book of Faces at Jim Goeken and Instagram at Jimmy Big Hands.
Darren.
You can find me on Instagram at The Bourbon Adventures and 5 days to more at the ABV Barrel Shop.
Fair enough. Justine.
You can find me on Instagram at JA_Maze.
You can find me at Steve Akeley, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've got a company website, abvnetwork.com. Check that one out. All of our previous content is out there. And also, come by and see us, the ABV Barrel Shop, that place where you can try before you buy. Darren's there 5 days a week, maybe 7 days if things are really crazy. Yeah. I guess it could happen between visiting and hanging out and working. And
it's happened before, so.
Yeah, I think it has. You've definitely worked 7 days in a row before, for sure. I don't know if it's all been the same week, but yeah. So there you go. So please check out what we have going on, abvbarrelshop.com. Justine, anything else to say before we get out of here?
Would just like to remind the audience to please leave us a 5-star review that includes comments that helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. Also, if you like what we're doing, please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Adios.
Bye.
Peace. Before we let you go, let's talk about one last thing. The ABV Barrel Shop in the St. Louis community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on a couple of things. First of all, single barrels. We are the place where single barrels live. We go to distilleries, taste through the whiskey, select the best barrel, and have it shipped to our store where we present it to you, our customers, by allowing you to try before you buy. We're also known for the classes that we have in our education center in the store, as well as the events we have with industry professionals from the bourbon business. If you are in the St. Louis area, please come by and visit us at 6 Fox Valley Center in Arnold, Missouri. Or at a minimum, at least sign up for our email and text distribution so you know exactly what's going on in our shop over at abvbarrelshop.com. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.